Kids, if I have you watching this video, you are probably doing the run-on, specifically using the words and so. So the first thing I need for you to do is go ahead and get this sheet of paper. You'll likely need to hit pause here in just a second. You'll get this, you'll glue it into your journal, and you will need something to write with, probably 2 different colors. So go ahead and get situated, and then I'll see you right back here. So hit pause, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, now that you are glued and ready, the good news is that you are doing a run-on using a specific word. And so what that allows you to do is start to recognize those specific things in your writing. So here's what you're going to do. We're going to read this piece of text, and you are going to have your highlighter, whatever you're using, and we're only going to mark the words and so. I know there's other words out there, but these ones tend to be some of the more popular ones that I see, and therefore that's where we are going to be starting. Okay, as you become more astute in finding these different ones, you'll be able to expand out. All right, here we go. Have you ever had a dog who could get himself out of a kennel so fast, there's so, it could make your head spin? I have. His name is Hank, and he has been in our home for about 7 years. When we first got Hank, we would leave him home in a kennel upstairs, and he would remove the plastic tray and scratch the floor to get out, and we had to move him to another room to keep him from hurting ourselves or our carpet any more than he already had. So he went downstairs where he completely got out of the kennel, scraping his nose in the process. So we got an airline kennel, which he would somehow get out of before we could reach the top of the stairs. True story, by the way. Naughty dog. Finally, we decided to just let him out during the day, and he does really well as long as we don't leave our stuff out. So he will chew, so we need to pick everything up each day and not block other areas of the house. A whole other story. And boy, it is. My carpet was not very happy when he decided to let me know he didn't like being put in with a gate. So I digress. Here we go. As we take a look at this text, you see that I've just highlighted my ands and so's. And so what we're going to do is go through, and I want to give you this quote unquote rule. It is not a hard and fast rule, and it is not the right rule per se, but what it is it will force you to get rid of some of those ands. So I want for you to really think about one. And I want for you to only put one and in a sentence. It is possible to put more than one. In fact, it's possible to put several. But at this stage in the game, if this is where your run-ons are, I really want you to start with just the one so that you can start to develop an understanding of those quote unquote rules and the pacing and the flow of how those sentences will sound. So's within tend to be less necessary to check unless you have 2 or 3 in a single sentence. So I know down here I marked 2 in the same sentence, and therefore I'll probably need to revise at least one of those because so is a word that we tend to use too often anyway, but that wouldn't be the reason that I keep or delete. So the first sentence has one. So have you ever had a dog who could get himself out of a kennel so fast it could make your head spin? That's totally fine. I don't need to put myself in check for that one, so I'm going to continue on. This sentence from capital letter, because that's another way. Let's do that too. Underline the first sentence, or circle the first letter of the sentence and circle the ending punctuation mark. Okay, so the first one I did, and we're going to look in between there. The next sentence that I have, we're going to circle, this starts with I. Sorry, I made it look all pretty for you, and ends right here. So I have one and in between there. So it's likely that this is probably okay, but we're going to take a look at it. Oh no, it's not even where it starts. Oops, let's start here. His name is Hank, and he has been in our home for about 7 years. One and, it has a comma before it because there's a full sentence on both sides. I think we're totally good there. Let's go to our next sentence. It looks like I start here with when, so I capitalize the W. And then I'm going to find where I put a period all the way down here. So here's what I know. In between here and here, I have obviously way too many lines, but 1, 2, 3, 3 ands and 2 so's. And if I'm going to stick with my kind of rule of 1, and again, this is not a steadfast rule, it is just giving you a place to start as you begin the journey of identifying these sentences, okay? Please know there is no rule that says you can only have 1 and. It is just where you are starting at this moment until you get more comfortable at identifying and finding these consistently. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go find my first and that I have right here. And I'm going to put my finger over it. The reason we do this is to figure out what kind of and we're dealing with. Do I have a full sentence on both sides of it, and therefore it's serving as a conjunction of joining those two clauses together, which are sentences? Or is it an and that's like peanut butter and jelly, like it's joining an idea together like that? So let's take a look. When we first met Hank, we would leave him home in his kennel upstairs. Okay, so that's a full sentence. Let's see what's going on the other side. He would remove the plastic tray and scratch the floor to get out, and we had to, okay. I think I already know what I'm going to do here. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a period because I know this is a sentence by itself, and I know that I'm going to continue to tell the story of this process with the kennel upstairs. So I'm going to cross off and here, and I'm going to put a period instead. And I fixed 1. Can you even tell it's a period? There we go. Period. Done. So that will capitalize this he, and now I'm going to continue. Now I have 2 ands and some so's. So here we go. I'm going to cover up my and. He would remove the plastic tray. That's a sentence. Scratch the floor to get out. Not a sentence. Therefore, this and is necessary because it is linking this independent clause, which means complete sentence, to this dependent clause, which basically means fragment. And so this cannot stand by itself, nor would it start this next sentence grammatically correct. So I'm going to leave this and here because I'm keeping 1 and, again, not a steadfast rule, but a rule for now that I would use is I'm going to go ahead and just hope I'm going to go to this and here. I'm going to put my finger over it. If it's not already a complete sentence after it, then I need to make it a complete sentence because I need to get a period in here because, again, I'm trying to limit the number of ands that I'm putting in each sentence at this moment. So I'm going to cross that off. I know I have to get rid of it, so now I have to figure out if I need to revise here. There's those. Okay. We had to move him. Okay, so I did start with a we, so that worked out perfectly, actually. We had to move him to another room to keep him from hurting himself or our carpet any more than he already had. There's my so I can put my finger over it. Any more than he already had. He went downstairs where he completely got out of his kennel, scraping his nose in the process. Okay. We had to move him to another room. So I think I'm going to leave this so here. I think I need a comma before it though. And the reason I'm going to leave it here is because I'm saying here that we're going to move him to another room. And then this part of the sentence tells where I am moving him to. Could you put a period there? Absolutely. If that makes you happy, go ahead and do that. There's no right or wrong answer here. Okay. So he went downstairs where he completely got out of his kennel, scraping his nose in the process. Okay. So here's another so. Once again, just for that rule of 1, and again, not a steadfast rule, I'm going to cross off so and put a period and then make this work because I want to get myself out of the habit of using those words so often and not into a habit yet of figuring out how. Let's kind of eliminate and then we'll come back into the process of how do we use them correctly. So I'm going to capitalize we got an airline kennel. Maybe I'll put a then in front of this. That might be actually what I do instead. So then we got an airline kennel, which he somehow got out of before we could reach the top of the stairs. And I have a period, so I'm good there. So I'm going to keep on going. I have 1 sentence left, it looks like, and it starts with finally, and it ends all the way down here. And I have 2 ands and 2 so's. So I'm going to try to eliminate at least half of that. Okay, here we go. Finally, we decided to just let him out during the day. I'm going to cover that up. He does really well as long as we don't leave our stuff out, so he will chew. So we need to pick out, okay, so we're getting this, these two so's do not make sense. We decided to keep him out, let's let him out during the day. I think I'm gonna put a comma here, comma, because again, we have a full sentence and we have a full sentence, and therefore I need comma and, okay? I am gonna come down here really well, as long as you don't leave out our stuff, so he will chew. And I think that's really the end of my thought right there, because the reason we don't leave our stuff out is so he won't chew it. So again, if you use one and one so in a sentence, that's okay. Just caution you against the ands unless you get someone to look at it to make sure it's not a run on, especially if this is your thing. All right, so I'm crossing off because we don't like to start with so. We need to pick up everything each day, and I'm going to cover that up, not block other areas of the house. That is not a sentence. Again, that is called this is an independent clause, which means complete sentence, and this and is linking it to a dependent clause, which means that it is not a complete sentence. Remember, it's kind of like a fragment. In fact, it is a fragment if it was by itself. So that and just stays put. I don't add any commas to it. I don't do anything to it. It just stays there. A whole other story, again, which it is. So here's what I want for you to do. Just go into your writing journal, which is where I always want you going back to. It's great to have these little practice things, but quite frankly, this is not going to help you overall. This was for teaching purposes. I want you to go into your writing journal, and I want for you to find a page where you notice you got a little bit and or so happy. Probably ands, it's usually ands. And I want for you to try this strategy. First, go in, do about a page, no more than a page at this point because you're just practicing. And I want for you to first circle or mark all of your ands or so's. And then I want for you to go back and put your finger over the and check. Is that and joining an independent clause, complete sentence, with a dependent clause, incomplete sentence, or a fragment, then the and stays put. If it's joining an independent clause, complete sentence, with another independent clause, and you like that, then you can put comma before it. If it's joining an independent clause, complete sentence, and another independent clause, complete sentence, and then there's another one in there, and then another one, you need to get it down to one at this moment unless it's checked by someone, okay? Go ahead and give this strategy a try, and then come on up and show me how it worked for you. Best of luck. I know you can do it.